So, for the next 2 weeks, you guys are going to be working on database design and your term project milestone. We have 3 milestones. This first one deals with design. So, it is actually probably the most important one. So, to start, you are going to read chapter 10 in the book, and then you're going to go through the lecture demo. The lecture demo has a lot of examples. And what you're going to be learning is basically normalization. You'll learn the types of relationships between tables, and you'll learn about indexing. And there's like 6.5 normal forms. And the first 3, or actually 3.5, are the most important. And that is what most businesses do. And so you are going to learn how to basically break down elements into the simplest components possible. You will be identifying the tables and assigning columns to each table. And then you're going to determine the primary key, which is a unique identifier, and any foreign keys that you need to connect your tables. The only piece of data that should be duplicated between tables is the foreign key. The foreign key is a primary key in one table that you've added to the second table to share data. Okay, and so you'll set up your initial tables, and then you go through normalization. And what this process does is it minimizes the duplication of data, because the only thing that should be duplicated is the foreign key. And that reduces problems maintaining accurate data. It makes your queries simpler, makes everything run more efficient and fast. So if you read through this, this walks you through issues with a table that isn't normalized, so you get a better understanding of why we do it, and then how to normalize the table. And like I said, most companies go through third normal form or 3.5 because there's a Boyce Codd normal form that's typically included. So all the way through Boyce Codd is what most companies do. Now there are 3 additional normal forms. There's 4th, 5th, and 6th. A lot of companies do not do those because every time you go through a normal form, your tables get broken down into smaller pieces, and you just end up with too many tables if you go through 6 normal form. So this process is explained here. And then we get into the types of relationships. And when you relate your tables, the relationship should be one-to-many, which means, for example, one customer can place many orders, one student can take many classes, that type of thing. Or you may have a one-to-one relationship. One employee can have one set of benefits. What you should not have is a many-to-many. Okay? A many-to-many needs to be broken down. So when this happens, it means that you didn't really go through your normalization process the way that you should have, okay? Because you should not have many-to-many. And what ends up happening is you end up creating something called a bridge table, where you pull out, it's usually the primary key in each of the tables, and you create a new table that kind of acts as a little bridge between the many-to-many. So that new table ends up with a one-to-many relationship for the other two. So in this case, We have many courses, have many students have many courses. So I'd probably throw in here in between a student course table, okay, where I would probably have the student ID, which is the key. And I would say for course, it's probably the course number and the semester. So in this bridge table, we would have the semester, course number, and the student number. All three of those together would be a key. Okay, and so a student is only going to be taking a specific course once a semester, and the course can actually have many students. Okay, so we have a one-to-many, and then we have the student who can only take one at a time, but this course can have actually many students in it. So it's also a one-to-many. Okay, so here's just an example. We have a many-to-many there. That is a problem. We have a many-to-many here. Here's how we would handle that with a bridge table. And we do get a little into referential integrity. So basically, and you'll have to decide, how you want to handle this. And you do not need to decide it this week, but in upcoming weeks, you're going to need to think about, so if I have a customer in orders and the customer doesn't want to do business, maybe they passed away, whatever, you remove the customer, then do you also want to remove all their orders? Okay, I would probably say no. If you were dealing with a student in classes, if a student dropped all their classes, then you would want to withdraw them from the class rosters. So in that case, you do want referential integrity, right? If there's no student, then they can't be in the class. So if you delete the student, the classes they're in are removed also. Okay, so it just kind of depends on what you're dealing with, whether you want referential integrity or not. But referential integrity basically deals with that primary key, foreign key relationship. So if something happens to the primary key, what needs to happen to the foreign key? Indexing tables does allow for faster retrieval. Your primary key is automatically indexed. So you need to decide if there's any other columns that you want to index. And typically a foreign key column is one that you want to create an index for. Also, if you have a column that you're doing a lot of searching on, that is another good candidate for an index. So you'll be learning about that as well. Once you finish reading the chapter, working through the lecture demo, you're going to do the textbook assignment. The assignment is critical for you to be able to do your project milestone because it basically walks you through the process that you need to use in the project milestone. So we start with an ER diagram. How do you do this in Microsoft Word? There is a video that shows you how. So I definitely would play the video and work through this. Okay, and then we are going to normalize table data using Excel. So quite often, companies will put an entire database in Excel because they don't know how to use database software. So this example that you're going to download violates normalization all over the place. So what you're going to be doing is walking through normalizing this table and creating multiple tables. Okay, so you can actually kind of group things logically just by looking. We've got employees, department, manager, and performance information in this single table. So you can kind of pull out that data and create, different sheets and put that data in them. And if you are not familiar with Excel, watch the video because it shows you how to do this. Okay. And it helps you work through this whole process of normalizing this data into multiple tables. And it walks you through first normal form, the questions that you need to ask about the data and what you need to look at, walks you through second normal form and third normal form. We actually look at fourth normal form as well. And this example shows you what you're going to have when you're done. So here's our original, and then these are the normalized tables. So really important for you guys to walk through that. Otherwise, you're going to be totally lost on your milestone. Once you finish creating these tables, then you are going to do the ER diagram. And here's the document that you need to download for that. Basically, the document has all the tables laid out, and you just need to enter the join lines and the one-to-many symbols. You then need to upload your ER diagram that you did in the first exercise, the spreadsheet that you normalized, and the Word document with the ER diagram from that spreadsheet data. That is the assignment. Now, if you feel like you need additional practice, I do have another practice exercise that you can walk through. So here's the exercise. You can kind of walk through this, and here's an answer key. And this whole process of designing your database and tables is one that requires practice. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And I fully expect that you guys are going to need help with this. So what you're going to have to do for that term project is figure out, first of all, what kind of database you want to create. Okay? And if you're looking for ideas, there are samples in the book, in the lecture, and I also included just some examples here. Plus, if you guys look in SSMS, you have all of those databases in there too, and tables to look at. Then you are going to have to figure out 6 tables that you can create, and you're going to have to put some data in them. So you'll probably just make up data, which is perfectly okay. I actually walk you through how I did this for a fictional business that maybe someday I will have. And this is for my digital photography and artwork. So you can see I've got like a little inventory table, customers, zip code, locations where it's sold, order information, and order details. So how I got to this point is in the video. So I kind of verbalize my thought process, which I think is helpful, and I walk through this. So definitely watch that because I think it will help you. Then once you have your tables, you are going to do the ER diagram in Word. And so here is a video showing you how to do that. So you are going to have to come up with your own database. You are going to have to come up with 5 rows of data. And the data that's in mine, I made all of this up. Okay, you can see I don't have famous customers. So I made it all up, and I fully expect you guys to do that too. Okay, test data is not always real data. For me to help you, you do need to have something for me to work with. Okay, so like I said, I do not expect it to be perfect. Okay, and I do want you guys to label primary keys, unique identifiers, and you'll see in most of mine, I just use an ID. It's just an integer ID. Zip code is unique, so I made that the primary key, but for most of them, it's just an ID. And you also need to identify your foreign keys. So in this, zip code is a foreign key. Okay, and you can see for orders, I've got the location the order came from and the customer as a foreign key. So you need to identify primary keys and foreign keys. Like I said, this is probably not going to be perfect and you're going to need some help. If you would like to meet with me in Zoom, I can help you work through the process while you're doing it. Otherwise, you can give it your best shot, okay? Upload it to the Dropbox, and then I will download it. And assuming it needs some work, I will create a video and show you how to fix it. Okay, and just going through the process and uploading to the Dropbox, you are going to get all the points. So do not be worried about points. Like I said, this is something that you get better at the more you do it, and it is a process. So I need something to work with, so you are going to have to give it a shot, and then I will help you fix it. Okay, and we will make sure that your term project, the design is what it needs to be for you to move forward and actually create the database and tables. So once you finish that, then there is a short research paper that you are going to do. And by short, I mean 1 to 2 pages. This is not long. So one of our outcomes for this class is legal and ethical issues of data sharing, and areas that you are going to look at are going to be either database design or data availability or the individual's right to privacy. You do not need to look up all three. So pick one of those that is of interest to you and research issues with sharing data. You need 3 sources. Paper should be double spaced, and you should use full sentences. And to cite your sources, I'm assuming it's going to be web sources, so you can just copy and paste the URL. It does not have to be anything fancy or super official. So once you are done with that, the last thing is optional. It is extra credit on the first unit test. So basically what I do is I look through the questions that you miss, and then I do an extra credit on it. So you can download the PDF, you can download the Word document, and so this is just kind of keying in on those areas that you missed that you really should know. So that is the assignment, and you do have 2 weeks to do this. Do not wait till the last minute to get this done. I would start working on it right away because you don't know how long it's going to take you to get that design for the milestone. And because it's a milestone, it is worth a lot of points. It's worth 50 points. So you want to give yourself enough time to get that thing done. Okay, and if you want help with that, what you need to do is email me and also ask for help and indicate when you are available, because my schedule is pretty flexible, but I do have live stream classes. So those are not times that I can meet with students because I'm in class. So let me know when you're available and we will find a time that we can meet. Um, Good luck with everything and have a great couple weeks.